No, I don't think it's turned on.
I think it does. I saw Kathy turn it on.
Hi there, how are you? As soon as you're done, you headed downtown?
I don't know.
No, it's your art walk tonight.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was just at the farmer's market.
Oh, the lights on.
We gotta go back to the farmer's market too.
My wife's headed down there right now.
Pardon?
My wife is headed down there.
Oh, she
To the farm.
I'm sorry. I couldn't.
What are you on the fence, Nick?
There's, oh, it's the volume is turned up too far. I think, I don't know.
Good evening. It is 5 o'clock. Calling the meeting to order of the Wiscasset Historic Preservation Commission. To my left is our secretary, Pam Logan, vice chairman, Leslie Roberts, and Phil DeVries. I'm the chairman, Susan Blagden. First order of business is to approve the meetings from July 11th, and I sent these all to you. Are there any corrections or changes?
I'll go with this.
All those in favor? Thank you. Public comment on non-agenda items. Wiscasset citizens attending the Historic Preservation Commission meetings are encouraged to discuss any non-agenda items. Please limit your time to 5 minutes. Is there anybody here who would like to speak to a non-agenda item? Seeing not. We have 3 COAs. One is for a sign at Gardner Road, the Little Village Bistro. I do not see Tony here.
Anybody on 23?
No. So I would accept a motion to table that until August 1st, which is next week.
I'll second that for discussion.
Okay, you second, who moved it?
I thought you moved it.
No, chairman doesn't move.
I'll move it.
Thank you.
second that.
Okay, discussion.
Is it this board's responsibility to contact the owner?
Yes,
Was he contacted?
yes,
And he's paid his application fee?
yes. He is in violation of our ordinance and the sign ordinance. Enforcement is not our.
I would support the motion on the condition that if he were to show up before we adjourn, that we would take his application up.
Sure, absolutely.
If everyone is in agreement.
Yep.
All those in favor? The second application is from Sherry Dunbar for the erection of a fence at 45 Federal Street. May I have a motion so we can discuss?
I would motion that we would discuss Sherry Dunbar's application as presented.
Thank you. Okay. So here we are. Sherry.
Hi. Thank you for meeting with me tonight. My original application had what you received originally, but I also, Susan had sent me an email requesting more specifics on the fence itself and a few other things. So I left a packet here that you should have now with everything
We do
else.
indeed.
Yeah. And I updated the actual sketch to include all of the dimensions. I had missed 2 that I didn't realize I needed. So those are there now. I also included a letter from one of my neighbors. Some of my other neighbors are here tonight, and I spoke with all of the other, Peter West, Mr. and Mrs. Green, Peter West, I said Peter West, Apple Stansfield. They were all people that were in favor of that. In fact, it's kind of been the talk of the town. Everywhere I go, everyone says, I hear you're going to the commission for a fence. And everyone is pretty much in favor of, everybody's happy with what I've done with my home thus far, and feels that what I plan to do will continue with what I've done.
Madam Chairman, ask questions. The fence, Shari, is in the rear of the property, is that correct?
A lot of the fence is in the rear of the property, which will not be visible from the street. Yeah, the part that will be visible from the street is, and it's actually 66 feet.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did that on my original diagram to you. It's 66 feet from the sidewalk where the fence will be against the garage. The rest of it is further back, which would not even be visible from the street.
Is the fence you're proposing is the picket fence, you have primrose circle on it?
Yes, correct.
But
This fence here, Steve was nice enough, the town garage actually had a sample, because I did some research. The brand that I am using, Active Yards, is the same brand that they used out to the cemetery. So I went out and checked it out, and this is a sample. This is not the picket fence, obviously, but it is an example of what the material is. It's a high quality vinyl. It is not recycled vinyl that stains and molds and mildews easily.
I guess my question is, the actual gate that you're going to be using is not that.
No, it's
Correct.
not. That is, they
Is it
didn't have,
just-
this just happened to be something they had
Yeah.
that they were considering doing at the cemetery, I think. This is it's the same brand, it's the same quality, same grade as what I would be using. It's just it's that primrose that you have. And I actually have a brochure that Steve also shared with me that I didn't have, that shows a better
Page 14.
page 14. There it is, right there.
All right.
Picture of the gate?
No.
It's,
It's
the
one
gate's
with
the same, there's no pictures of gates. I went online, I tried to find, there's nothing. It's the same, it would look the same, but it would have some black hardware.
It's a section on hinges, in other words.
Exactly. That's what it is, yeah. And, one thing I want to point out, whether it makes a difference on your decision or not, is you're not going to be able to tell from the street whether that's wood or vinyl. And I walk my dog around town a lot, and, there's a lot of fences around town, and wooden fences, many of them are in really bad condition. They look worse than, I counted 5 vinyl fences on Federal Street that either are partial vinyl or completely vinyl. This is on my street. There was one on Water Street as well. This is a lifetime guarantee. This is something that's going to look good for many years to come.
So, Madam Chairman, would we proceed first by entertaining a motion that this application is now complete with the additional information?
No.
You don't have to do that?
No.
Okay, just checking.
We already have a motion to approve the application as presented. and any, if there was an amendment to that, I take your argument about the vinyl fence, and I'm very sorry about the vinyl fence. We have, at the moment, unfortunately, nothing in place that forbids you from doing it. There are composite fences out there that look 100% better, I think, than that, and
they're
last,
twice as expensive.
and last just as long or longer.
And they're twice as expensive.
Yeah, I realize that.
Yeah.
But you are living, you are making your house as beautiful as it can be. You are improving your property. As I say,
If I had to put something like that, I wouldn't be able to afford it. But it wouldn't be cost effective, I wouldn't.
the least expensive fence is a plain pine picket fence.
This is not the least expensive fence.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
if you're talking about cost,
Well, I got estimates for a wooden fence, and they were more than what this was.
any further questions? Pam? You got it? Just out of curiosity, why so many gates?
Why so many what?
Gates?
So that the dog, so I can get one, the big one is so that I can get a lawnmower in to mow the lawn.
Yeah,
And then the other one is so I can get from my stairs at my door to the backyard. And then the one to the side is so that my neighbor's dog can come over and play with my dog.
okay, just curiosity, I mean.
Did you bring that fence?
I did. Steve let me borrow it, yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that. And it would be similar to that, correct?
Well, it would be picket. It would be like the picture that you have in the brochure.
Right, the
But
primrose.
it's this same
That
material.
material?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I have any questions, Sherry. I just think that we have been discussing the accepted materials in the historic district, and vinyl is one of those things that we're really trying to shy away from, because we feel like even though people say it will last a longer time, there are plenty of vinyl fences in town that don't look very good and they're hard to repair.
I think those are the ones that are, they buy at Lowe's or Home Depot. They're recycled vinyl.
Not necessarily. They tend to break down in the sun, and even though they look good at the beginning, they're harder to maintain, they're harder to keep looking nice when they start to stain and they start to fade. And wood is a more appropriate, or composite is a more appropriate material for the historic district. So I mean, we're at a point where we're working on an approved materials list here in the historic district, and vinyl is not going to be on the approved list.
So what is the difference between a vinyl fence and vinyl decking, vinyl railings, vinyl siding? What would be the difference between that?
None of those would be
Okay.
approved.
So when you have vinyl siding on homes and you allow people to replace it with vinyl siding,
We do like for like. You replaced like vinyl siding, you replaced.
no, it was nothing like it.
But it was vinyl.
Yeah.
And so.
And you replaced it with vinyl.
Right,
So
exactly.
you were allowed to do like for like, because that's sort of the precedent here in the historic district, like for like.
So do you think that, have you walked around and looked at the fences in
All the
town?
time.
The wooden fences, and see how they
Yeah.
look? You would rather have fences that are falling apart and rotting than
Well-
something that people can't tell from a distance that's not wood?
No, we'd rather have people maintain their fences.
But they're not. People can't afford it.
But what I'm
People
saying,
can't afford it.
I think that a wooden fence is historically in this town, which is very old, a historic product, being that we are the pine state, that we prefer wood.
I'm sure you prefer wood, but there's nothing in that ordinance that says that I can't
I'm
put
not having
vinyl.
an argument with you.
Okay, I'm telling you though, you're telling me what you prefer.
And then
The ordinance
as-
isn't about what you prefer.
The Historic Preservation Commission prefers wood.
Okay, but the historic, it's not your opinion, it's not
I'm not
what you
giving my opinion,
prefer.
I'm saying that the Historic Preservation,
And I prefer wood for everything, to be honest.
I'm sorry?
I can't say that I prefer wood for everything, no, because just for the very reason you're saying, because it just doesn't hold up. And if you use aluminized lumber or pressure treated lumber, it's prone to drying out and warping. And it just doesn't look good. It takes, you can't maintain it. I know, because I just had to replace some of my own in my own home. But people have gone to, as you said, composite, which is fine, or vinyl, just to get away from having to replace sections of their fence. The one that comes to mind, I really don't like to point, at properties for examples, but the home next door to the grammar school, there's just certain sections of that fence that are rotting out. It was a beautiful fence when it went in, but how do you replace just one section at a time? I mean, it's one of the stringers that goes across. And I think we all would love to get wood when we can get wood. And, I'm the same way. I mean, I put siding up and I want the siding to last. I don't want the siding or the fence or whatever the wood material is to start to rot. But that's exactly what's happening, and I can tell you it's going to continue to happen because we don't get the kind of winters that we used to get. We get these damp
That's right.
winters.
You are, yeah, and the wood isn't the same as it used to be.
It's not. You can't get the good wood. I mean, I had sent our chairman, we were talking about getting prices for materials. And one of the things that when I spoke to Hancock Lumber was red cedar's the best when we can get the red cedar. And it's very expensive. So, I mean, there's a reason why these fences, these composite fences are being used now. I think the need is basically because of the price of the lumber and also the durability of the lumber. And people are saying, well, if I invest in composite or vinyl fence, I'm going to get a few more years out of it.
I think that's the selling point, but I don't think that's necessarily true in real life. When you look at the way a vinyl fence ages, and when things start falling apart, it is harder to repair. You have to replace whole sections at a time. You can't replace a picket.
I don't have a vinyl fence. I don't have any fence. To be honest, I don't know.
There's also cast iron.
It's true. Cast iron's really expensive. I mean, I don't want Sherry to feel like she's forced to spend more money than she can in her budget.
Well, I won't put up a fence if I can't. If I can't do this, I can't afford to pay
Of
twice
course, you
as much.
spend a lot of money on your house.
Yeah, I'm scrimping to do this, and I'm doing it because I have a dog that loves to play with other dogs, and she's good about staying in the yard, but I want to get another rescue dog, and I need to have a place to contain them. For practicality purposes, a chain link fence is what I should have, but I'm trying to be mindful of the neighborhood, and I'm trying to find something that people would like to see, like you. I mean, I know that you guys weren't going to like the vinyl, so I went with the best I could to bring to you. If I can't do this fence, I'm not going to be able to afford to put up a fence, because I have looked at pricing them out. I can't afford anything else, and I can't afford to maintain a wooden fence down the road. That's why I'm doing everything that I'm doing to the level that I'm doing it at, so that 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when I'm retired, I won't have to
You're still gonna, 20 years from now, you're still gonna have to replace that vinyl fence. 30 years from now, you're still gonna have
Well,
to
that's
replace
not
that
what the
fence.
warranty says. So, let's see if they see, I mean, they have a warranty.
But in 20 and 30 years, I mean, we're not, in the Wiscasset Historic District, we're not talking just 20, 30 years down the road.
Okay.
We're talking maintaining the integrity of the
If I
town's
did a
history.
wooden fence, how many times in that 20 to 30 years would I have to paint my fence? And that's a lot of work, that's a big fence. I would have to have it sanded, painted, that would cost me a lot through that 30 years. Whereas doing this, I'm doing it once, and it's going to, like I said, you look at that fence from a distance, 66 feet is a long way. Nobody is going to know that that is a vinyl fence, other than it's not getting all rotted after 10 years. And I don't have to paint it after 3 to 5 years.
So you're looking for low maintenance, is that what?
I'm looking for something that looks good, that is low maintenance, both, not just that's low maintenance. I mean, I haven't cut corners on my home anywhere as far as the outside and the aesthetics of it. So my neighbors thank me for that. I have neighbors here tonight that thank me for that. And they're all on board with what I plan to do with the fence. Nobody has a problem with it.
It's the letter.
What's that? He's an abiding neighbor.
He owns the house next door. Yes.
And Peter West gave me a big thumbs up today. He wished me luck and said if I needed anything to let him know.
That's nice. He's a good guy.
Yep.
Well, the fence is not along the sidewalk, so there's no problem with clearing the sidewalk. You know, it's snow being pushed up against it. It's at the rear of the property. As the applicant says, it's 66 feet. And I'm inclined to agree. Walking by or driving by, who's going to notice? To me, it would be an improvement on the property, but that's my own opinion. I honestly don't. I think Mrs. Muncie would really be very pleased, she was a previous owner, be very pleased with how Sherry has invested in the property and improved it. And, you know, when you improve a property, that's good for the neighborhood. It's good for the tax base. And it also encourages other people on the street to improve their properties. And there are some properties on Federal Street that could use a little tender loving care.
True.
So I would say at this point, the applicant has done all we've asked her to do. There's no restrictions on vinyl. I would see no reason why we wouldn't approve this.
Further discussion? You ready for the vote? All those in favor? Opposed?
Oh, my.
It's absurd. I can't believe that.
I can't, you know what?
That is just
You don't want
wrong.
the town of Wiscasset to look good, you want it to look.
You know what?
Michelle, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
When you're dealing with dogs and the containment, there's a liability issue too. And if she's delayed and there's an incident with a dog, you guys could be liable. I don't know if you have, you know.
If this is the way it's gonna be.
You don't believe it?
For the future of residents here in Wiscasset, I would be hiring my attorney. I wanna know everyone's qualifications on this. I really question, usually these commissions are to advise, to help. I don't understand the kind of power you're having over other people, and this is a town full of retirees, senior citizens on fixed incomes. You especially, Susan Blacknick, should know this. And it's kind of like, you know, you're gonna make it so people can't do anything, and all these homes are gonna not be improved because you're making it not affordable. There should be, you should be reasonable with the people that come before you, not act like this. It's a bad, it's really bad. It's kind of scaring me because we want to improve our home next door to Sherry's, and I can already see that there's gonna be some obstacles. And it's just like, well, maybe we won't do a darn thing because this is the way it's gonna be.
I look back and, you know, I grew up.
Excuse me. You have not been recognized, Judy.
No, pardon me.
Judy Flanagan. I thought I heard the chairman say a short time ago that our ordinance does not dictate that we can require vinyl. And that it's not, and I think you even used, when you were saying that, it's not just our preference. Well, I've been to a few of these meetings, and I keep hearing that word, I would prefer. That is not what your ordinance tells you to do. it tells you to go by what is in the ordinance, and you're doing a disservice to this committee to continue that. Wait until you've got that list, and then you can vote against. But right now, I do not understand how you can make that vote, and I'd like to see you reconsider that motion.
And I have to tell you, people in this town really dread, there are people that are putting off that will not come here because of just this. I put a lot of work together to put this together and bring to you. I tried to bring something that I thought would be acceptable. And people watch this. There's going to be a lot of people watching this because a lot of people knew about this. And there are people that are saying, I'm not going to go in front of the commission. I'm just going to do what I want to do. And there are people that will just let their homes deteriorate because...
Well, I hope as a realtor you encourage them to come in front of the commission.
I'm not going to encourage them to do anything. The way you are treating me tonight by not listening to, not being reasonable, I'm not telling them anything. I think that this committee was formed to protect the aesthetics of the town. We're in the 21st century. You can't expect to get wood, as Phil said, that is going to hold up, that's straight, that's going to last. The wood out there now, I sell real estate and I see old homes that were built with old wood. That wood is a lot different than the wood they're manufacturing today. So how can you say that vinyl is any different than what they're making different wood than they were? It's not historic wood.
In the 19th century, if they had vinyl, they would have used vinyl, believe me.
I think they would have.
Just
like they were using metal. They were using metal. for
Saying that
roofs.
they used metal. Well, metal's good too.
Yeah.
You know, but then even that, as far as making it.
Can I say one thing? I do painting, and I have taken care of a lot of houses and fences. And a lot of the really high quality paints that endured the weather around here have been outlawed. They're not VOC compliant. So a lot of the oils you can't get anymore. So, trying to maintain wood is not as easy as it used to be. And, in the perfect world, yeah, wood's great if you can make it last. But when you can't, it's a no-brainer that you go with a simpler route with something that's got longevity.
Thank you, Steve.
I just got a comment. So she brought up a vinyl fence. I've been involved in some of this fence stuff. So if she had said to you tonight, oh, by the way, people, I'm going to put up a wood fence, an Aztec fence, which is a composition of wood and vinyl, probably would have all agreed. I don't think, and I would be some peeved off if a commission of people told me, no, Steve, you can't spend. Let's just say that fence is going to cost $3,000.
I wish.
I know. Well, I know these fences, these vinyl fences, that fence right there will run about $40 a linear foot. A wood fence is, for that fence, it'd be $65, Aztecs, 100 plus. So I don't think it's right for you guys to say, one of them approve it unless you spend X amount of money. You can't make somebody spend money to appease what you guys want because it's an opinion that you don't like vinyl. It's an opinion. There's nothing in your ordinance says a damn thing about, oh, by the way, you can't have vinyl. You're opening up a can of worms if you go with no vinyls. Look at these people in these windows. I've talked to people who have been putting in vinyl windows. And this commission is saying you need wood. Well, I will tell you where to put your window. But I just think that it's wrong for you guys to say that, in order for us to approve you, you've got to spend more money to put up a better fence because we like it. I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. I'm glad I don't live in the historic district because if I was doing anything, I'm serious, I would not come to any of these. I would do what I wanted to do. Come after me with your lawyers. I wouldn't play your games. I just think it's sad that you're going to say no, but if you spend more money, Sherry, damn it, you're going to have your fence.
But Steve, that's
No,
not
if you do
exactly.
That's exactly what you said, that's what you're
If you
saying.
do
No,
what we
because
want.
like, can I just, please, just give me a minute. There are plenty of wooden fences that are not as expensive as vinyl. Now, maybe the style that Sherry's looking for, she said she went with a very stylish fence because she wanted it to look right, she wanted it to be approved. Vinyl is more expensive than wood.
I'm very well versed on fencing, trust me, in the last year. But anyway, I just, again, my point is that it's wrong for anybody to tell me, oh, by the way, Steve, you gotta spend more money to get what you want. If she's got a budget, I've got a budget, we've all got budgets, you know, and we don't need anybody to tell us to spend more money to get what we want. I
But
think
I'm
that's
just
wrong.
saying, I went online and I priced fences. There are wooden fences that are less expensive than vinyl. We're not saying we want her to spend a lot more money.
That,
What we're
maybe
saying
not,
is
maybe
we're
that's what we're
trying
saying,
to-
that's what I hear, that's how I
Right,
hear it.
I don't want Sherry to spend my money, she spent a ton of money on it.
She's done a beautiful job there.
And we really appreciate the work you've done, Sherry. We're not, you know, we're trying to do our job, and that is to uphold the aesthetics of the historic district. It's not an easy job, I know you guys are mad at us right now, we're doing our best, and it's a slippery slope, because your vinyl fence is in the back of the yard, but then the next person that comes before us is gonna want a vinyl fence right on the sidewalk. I mean, where do you draw the line if you're trying to be fair to every applicant that comes before the commission?
I could answer that. I would prevent anybody from putting a vinyl fence in the front yard. We already have one on Federal Street in the front yard. The ordinance does not prohibit vinyl fences. You can show me where it says that in here. It doesn't.
And I was reading in the ordinance
Excuse
book.
me, Steve, there are other people who have their hands up, let them,
All right,
and then come back.
I'll be back.
Yes, Michelle.
So just a quick question. So I read in the paper that each of you are to take, you know, windows, siding, fences, whatever, and you come up with this list of.
Yes.
Right? Well, aren't you going to be running into a problem with windows? They have to be energy efficient. How are you going to demand, you know, isn't that going to be a problem?
That's really not the
Yes.
subject right now.
I know, but what I'm saying is, that's gonna be a problem, you're gonna demand people to have a certain window. I mean, my point is that, you know, there's gonna be, I don't even know what my point is, I'm so frustrated. Go ahead, I'm sorry, but there's gonna be issues. Go ahead. Sorry.
Please.
Jim, what you say?
Hi, my name is Peter Wells. I'm a neighbor of Sherry's. I live across the street. I'm also a registered landscape architect. I've been specifying fencing for 40 years. And the type vinyl that Sherry has chosen is a high quality vinyl. However, if you were to take the style fencing that she has selected and had done it in wood would come in much more expensive than that. And wood would also carry maintenance with it every 3 to 4 years. So she is specifying a virgin polyvinyl chloride fence, which doesn't change colors, versus a recycled one. So it's a good quality, it will last, and it will work well in the neighborhood.
Thank you. We have taken,
I just
I
like to
think
ask
you're,
once again.
excuse me. I've taken into account everything that's been brought up. And I think there is a definite validity to the feeling that since we do not have an established materials list that is going to be acceptable, that I would hope that we could reconsider our vote on this with a motion to reconsider right now.
I'll make that motion, Madam Chairman, that we reconsider the applicant's request to erect the vinyl fence behind her home on Federal Street.
It's been moved and seconded. I think that as a commission, we have also stated our preferences and where we're going from here. And it would be nice if some of you people would come in and help us to develop these materials. I have not seen any of you, and this commission has been in existence for almost 3 years.
I've been here 3 times, this is my
Yeah, but
4th time.
You don't count.
Susan, sorry, some of us are so busy working trying to pay taxes, it makes it tough.
Well, that's why we meet at 5 o'clock instead of 2. Are you ready for the vote?
Is that a second?
We're reconsidering?
Yes.
Okay, we are reconsidering, and now I need a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve. Sure, Dunbar's application for the certificate of appropriateness for the fence.
I think so. No? Oh, all right. All those in favor of reconsidering? Yeah.
Reconsidering the vote.
Opposed? Yep.
I would move we approve Sherry Dunbar's application for the fence behind her home at, what is your address? 45 Federal Street.
May I say something before we move on the vote?
I need a second, and then,
A second.
okay? Yes, of course.
Sherry, like I said before, I appreciate what you're doing with your house, and you've done a beautiful job. And being a realtor, we need as many people as possible, advocates, to support the idea of a historic district and the aesthetic in a historic district, and people wanting to come before the commission. And it's the ordinance. I mean, I know you guys don't like us all the time. We don't always make decisions you all like. We're doing our best to try to support the ordinance that the town voted on. And as a realtor, it would be great if you could be one of our advocates, maybe even join us. We need all the people we can, and as a realtor, we need someone like you as a spokesperson. And I've met you on the street where you've been angry about the commission before you even came before us. And it's hard being a volunteer to have people yell at you on the street. So I'm hoping that maybe we can get your support.
I have supported, this is my 4th time in front of the commission. I would say the other 3 were much easier than this, and I was doing some big changes to my home, total different commission right now. I have always been supportive. In fact, the prior committee members asked me, Colin asked that I would promote the fact that they need to get approval through the commission, which I was happy to do. And being the president of the Lincoln County Board of Realtors, getting the word out to other realtors that sell real estate in the town, I was happy to do. So I have supported you. When I said I wouldn't to Pam, it was because I really felt that you were being unfair in the decision that you were making. It didn't line up with the ordinance, and I felt that it was a preference that you were going on what you like, not what the ordinance says. And so for that was the reason I said that I would not support you. I think, again, I talked to a lot of people in town, and just someone I talked to today who's a longtime resident, she's a very respected person, said that commission is out of control. So I'm just telling you guys, this is what people are saying out there. And
Those people are not.
Can I finish? Can I finish? Okay. So, and I wanted to say that, I live in this town, I respect history. I am part, I support all of the historic buildings, I donate, I sponsor, I do all of those things. So I respect that. But what I feel is this commission is making it difficult for people to do some of the things that they want to do. And I want to remind you, a few years back, a couple years back, when there was a lot of controversy going on and there were things that you weren't approving, the selectmen decided that they were gonna put it back on the warrant to vote on this. And it was very marginal that it passed to keep it. And, you know, a lot of people around town that I know that voted to keep it are in a position where they're not feeling the same way. They kind of wish that it had gone away and had been reformatted, whatever. I mean, the ordinance is very, as you know, isn't really clear on a lot of things. So I know you're working on that, but I'm just saying, be careful at what you restrict here, because you are impacting people's lives. Not everyone can afford to do what you want them to do.
So, thank you for that, Sharon. But I mean, the other side of that coin is there are a lot of people that move to Wiscasset because they want to live in the historic district and they love how it looks. I've lived in a neighborhood in South Portland that people were moving into, tearing down cottages and building 3-story monstrosities. So the ugly side of not having an ordinance and not having a commission is people moving in next to you, tearing down a beautiful old house and putting up whatever they want to put up.
And I'm not saying that I want to see that
right,
at
but
all.
I mean, so when you say that we're out of control,
That's
you're
not what
walking-
I said. That's what people are saying to me.
Well, even if you're agreeing with them, you're stating that we're out of control. We're doing our best, and we're trying to save everybody's property values by trying to preserve the aesthetic. And the ordinance is a little bit gray. We're working on trying to be better, trying to hone the ordinance. But if people don't like what we're doing, come in and join us and make it better.
Or come in and have the courtesy to speak to us. Frankly, I don't give any credence or any weight to anybody who says they're out of control to you on the street as you're walking your dog. If you don't come in and tell me, tell the commission, you have no validity quotient as far as I'm concerned. Stand up and be counted on YouTube and in public, or pack it in. I do this, Pam does this, Leslie does this, Phil does this. There is no excuse for the ongoing gossip about this commission from people who do not bother to come in to our meetings. That having been said, I think we've probably beaten this dead horse long enough. We have a motion to approve Sherry's vinyl fence at 45 Federal Street. All those in favor? And opposed? You may have your fence. And the
Thank
first
you.
thing we will do
Thank you
is
very much.
Thank you.
You take care of it.
Bistro?
See, look.
Is he representing?
No, so he's gonna take care of it. That's not the same.
Sir, are you, who are you here from?
Representative Tony.
Oh, Tony Bickler?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. What's your name?
Lance Hunter.
Thank you.
Hunter Backus?
Hunter Backus. That's my
Hunter
last
Backus representing Tony Bickler.
name. Yes, sir. I have some.
Yes.
But I can take that.
You will have
You do, don't you?
Is permission?
it? Yeah,
Hopefully.
Oh,
this
there's
included
permission.
a,
Oh, okay.
there's more.
Hunter Backus will be
Yes.
representing myself, Tony Mitford, and Blue Village Bistro for COA consideration. Okay, so we are back at, let's see, we moved this, so now we need a motion to consider.
Madam Chair, I would motion that we would take up the application for the Little Village Bistro, 65 Garden Road.
I'm gonna do this. Second that.
Oh, good. Do we have discussion?
check.
Yeah, that was gonna be my only question, whether or not the applicant paid the
Thank you.
required fee.
All right.
Oh, wait, we just have to take the money.
Honestly,
All those in favor?
Aye.
there you go.
Opposed?
That was easy. You're all done.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice night. All right, I will.
There, 2 down.
Okay, now the garage it's 2 High Street, not 8 High Street, sorry.
Did we get that on this again?
Yeah, this is the
I would say they're not here.
They are not here. Jan is suffering with Lyme disease and is also in Scotland.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah,
Jan, our best to you.
yeah, really.
Oh.
So
And it's round, too.
I would,
Move to August 1st.
Oh,
actually, she's requested, she said she won't be back next week. She's gone to Scotland to pick up her daughter.
oh, okay, good.
So she has asked us, could we move this to the 15th?
August 15th. Okay.
So may I have a motion?
I would motion that we would move, I forget the applicant's name, but whoever that applicant is.
Hadrick.
Jan and Tom
Hadrick,
Hadrick.
that's correct.
2 High Street.
2 High Street to the first meeting in,
No,
Second meeting in
August
August.
15th.
I second.
wow, August already.
Mhm.
And if I'm back, what else should I do? And then we smell it for years.
We're good on that, right? I seconded, we're good?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
All those in favor? Thank you.
Oh, fortunate.
Okay, yeah. That's a tough one. So, business, have we anything more to discuss about our bicentennial participation?
There is a bicentennial meeting the 7th at the Chamber Building. If anybody wants to join, I think it's 6.
Where is the meeting?
I think it's at the, I believe it's going to be at the Chamber of Commerce Building. Open to anyone who wants to attend.
Marion, Susan, sorry.
Whoa!
Flashing back in time. Would it be prudent to maybe appoint someone to represent this board? Would that be a good idea?
At the bicentennial
Yeah.
invitation. I'm already on it. I'm in it.
Leslie's already,
Well, then, yeah, I mean, we could be kept informed that way.
Yeah, I'd be happy to keep everybody informed. Be nice to get some more members. Hey, Steve.
Oh,
Steve's gonna join.
huh?
Yeah, Steve's
Bicentennial?
gonna be part of the bicentennial commission.
Want some information on the bicentennial?
Sure.
The vote that we took, that we, Wiscasset took. Actually, they started the vote in 1860. And it was, it goes back, from what I can find, there was some talk about it back in 1794. And then they got talking about in 1816, Jeremiah Bailey, he was a judge, and he, matter of fact, I just mowed his cemetery plot today up in Evergreen. He had the big house that was on the common, that they could torn down. I wish I had seen that house, but it was a big, huge house on this side of the courthouse, Judge Bailey's. And I'm just reading information I got. It says, the vote of the town in 1816 was a Federalist victory in Wiscasset, although in the district, the political lines were about 1/3 Federalist and 2/3 Democratic. Now, to back up, when we did the vote, we voted in the old meeting house, which is where the Congregational Church now sits. That's where the vote was taken at.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I've looked in a couple of spots. I've actually read the town records, and there's like 20 pages of stuff. It's in volume 4 in the vault. I get the pages written down on my cab.
volume 4 in the vault. And I was told that was up in the attic. And
No, I went in, took the book down myself, and I started thumbing through it. It's difficult to read, but it's readable. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, no, that's the one I wanted to, and I was told it was up in the attic.
Are you able to photocopy any of those pages, Steve?
You probably could, but you know, that print is getting quite light. I'm sure with these copy machines nowadays, to answer your question, yes. I'm sure you could. It's just opening up the book, you know, to get, you know, so you're not falling out
Yeah,
of.
that's true.
Right, so
You
you
use your
probably better
phone.
to photograph it.
And probably is the best thing, and then maybe sit there around the supper table and write it down in your own handwriting or type it out.
Type it out.
You know, and that way you get a couple of eyes. But to get back to this, this vote, and I'm not versed on Federalist and the Democratic, you know, I'll tell you that right up front. It says, while the vote in the whole district was 11,969 in favor,
How many?
10,000.
I'm sorry, how many?
11,969.
In the district. In the district.
Oh, in the district,
In
okay.
favor, and 10,347 against separation. It says final action on this vote was postponed until 1819, when petitions from 70 towns were presented to the Governor Brooks, who in August of 1819 announced that there was a sufficient number of votes for the separation of Maine from Massachusetts. They also, there's other stuff here, and I'm gonna actually leave this with you.
Thank
The
you.
thing that was kind of odd, they talked about the words making it, call it the state of or the Commonwealth of. And I know, again, I'm reading this. It says, state and Commonwealth, though they have been used indifferently in this country for 3 centuries, there's no distinction between state, the word state, and Commonwealth. I often wondered that myself. There's a couple of Commonwealths. Virginia's a Commonwealth, isn't it?
So is Massachusetts.
And Mass.
Yeah.
I think that's the only ones, right? Well, anyway.
Virginia.
Then there was considerable opposition to the name Maine being used, while that of Columbus was proposed. And also that of, and I may mispronounce this one. It's Ligonia, Ligonia?
Ligonia?
Yeah. But strangest of all was the name proposed from this Mr. Jarvis. Mr. Jarvis was from Surrey, Maine, and Surrey, Maine is way down east.
Yes.
And it says, Mr. Jarvis hoped the motion to strike out Maine would prevail, and there was one word which upon the principle of economy would be a good substitute. It was an old name, and it might be found in the Bible, and it was composed of 2 letters, which were the capital letter A, small dash I. Now, for some reason or another, it says, he didn't sign the Constitution, the guy that proposed this, and the consensus opinion is that it was a mere jest on the part of Mr. Jarvis to make that statement. The present inhabitants of this state owe Mr. Parsons and Mr. Parsons is another man in this article, a vote of thanks for rescuing them from the state of IE, or whatever the hell that would be. Anyways, it says, then it says, in January 1820, Governor Brooks said in his message to the General Court, the connection between Maine and Massachusetts had been maintained to mutual satisfaction and advantage, but the time of separation is at hand. Conformable to the act of June 19th last, which was 1819, the 15th of March next, is that 1821, I guess, will terminate forever the political unity of Massachusetts proper and the District of Maine, and that the district, which is bone of our bone and flesh, will assume her rank as an independent state in the American Confederacy. And on the last named date, Maine took her place as the 23rd star on the American flag.
Wow. That's exactly what I was looking for. You said that the vote took place where?
Congo Church.
Where the Congregational Church is now, that's the old meeting house.
Yeah.
Right up the
Yeah.
commons.
Yeah, right on the common.
Oh, that's.
And actually, people, this right here is chapter 20 out of Wiscasset Common Rule.
Yep.
See, Thank
Am I
you
reading
so
them?
much.
So that's,
The
that's,
state,
What
that's
chapter was that?
chapter 20. It's called separation.
Yep.
And if you go to volume 4 in the vault, and this is 1813 to 1826,
Yeah.
whatever the spine
So
says.
what I will do is see
And it
if
starts
that
around page, well, I got it written on the card, 7, whatever it is, right? There's a bunch of stuff in there, and I think Fannie Chase took a lot of stuff from that.
on the other side of the office.
And incorporated it.
I can go
This is great
and
work.
get
Thank you so
that
much.
photographed, I
That's
think,
awesome.
at the.
Judge Jeremiah Bailey,
Scanner.
I believe, is one of the seats, one of the daughters. And she died rather young, and she knew she was dying. But before she died, she recommended 2 of her best friends to marry the judge, and said you should pick between these 2 after I go. And he did.
It's funny because I mowed Judge Bailey's stone today, and it's a nice stone.
Judge Bailey.
Judge Bailey's stone, so Judge Bailey's stone is right here, nice big stone. And right beside it is this person named Nehemiah Soames. Well, Nehemiah Soames is the mason who built the courthouse.
That's
So when you look at that curve,
He was also in charge of the powerhouse.
and they're side by side, yes.
Did the powerhouse.
Yes.
There's a lot of history out there. I was in the cemetery today for 4.5 hours, so I read a lot of stones as I'm riding by.
He knows where the bodies are buried.
Steve, what are you doing?
Most of them, anyway.
Yeah, come on, Steve, come on. Steve.
No,
You should
no,
help
no,
me.
No offense.
Okay, then you gotta promise to tell us stories like this every week.
But anyway, I just thought that they kind
Whether you
of.
join us or not, you're our consultant, I'm telling you.
Yes.
We're drafting you.
Do we have anything else, Madam
This is
Chairman?
wonderful.
Because I do think that one of the things that I like is that those people watching are getting a little piece of history, and you speak, and you tell them things
Yes.
like that, which is very helpful.
Well,
Love that.
we were doing these things at the, and I'm just gonna take a little bit more of your time. We were doing these things at the library a while ago, it's called Town Talk.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, right.
We've shied away from that. I don't know any particular reason why, but that's fun, because Phil was there, you get different topics,
Yeah.
whether it's houses, characters, whatever. It's kind of fun. I mean, I know I can be a pain, but I've always had a big interest in, I lived with my great-grandmother, 100 years old, and she'd been here all her life, so she'd always talked history, so I was always active in it. And I do the cemetery stuff, so anyways, I think I find it quite interesting. There's a lot of stuff that we have in town that a lot of us, and I learn stuff all the time by reading and looking and talking and probing around. To me, it's fun.
Thank you, Steve.
But anyways,
Appreciate
Really
it.
helpful. Keep it up, you.
all righty,
Yeah,
people have a good evening.
Thank you.
So like I say, volume 4, you'll be
I've
able,
got volume 4
you'll
here.
be able to find it, and it's in there.
Will that fit in your car?
I'm gonna just put it by the shed and I'll pick it up in the morning.
Oh.
All righty, people, have a good
Thank you,
week.
Steve.
All right, have a good
A
weekend.
few more things
Yeah.
before we go, right?
Okay, discussion of acceptable materials.
Yes. So this last discussion brings us back around to discussion of appropriate materials.
Yes, and I think that there's it was unfortunate that so much of the discussion hinged on money, because there are, picket fences out of wood can be stained with the new stains. I say this because my house is sheathed in wood and was stained 32 years ago. Hello? It's not a fence, it's a house, I admit. But the new stains are amazing. So I think we have to do some heavy research. And I think we have to hope that after tonight people will come in and help with the updates to the ordinance. And we've got to start, I would propose that for the August 15th meeting, we have beginning proposals of where we want to go on the sections that each of us have. If there are definitions that we want, or regulations that we want, or whatever.
So these acceptable materials, do we make them, do they become eventually part of the ordinance? So when people point to the ordinance, they say, there's nothing in the ordinance that would stop me from using this material?
I think I don't know. It's a short answer. I think that the way that I would rather say is that have an article or paragraph in the
Supplement?
ordinance that says that the commission will be guided by the acceptance of the list, which can be a moving thing, can be changed.
Yeah, I think it should be total, yeah.
And would be my idea of how to go on with it.
If you're going to make amendments to the ordinance, probably the thing to do would be, the prudent thing to do would be draft recommendations and then turn it over to ordinance to review.
That we have to do that.
Yeah, I mean, because, you know. we
No,
can't-
it has to go through ordinance review.
It's
It
gotta
has to
be.
go through the planning board public hearing, and it has to then go for approval by the
Right.
selectmen. The reason I'm.
But it's ultimately got to be voted on to the council.
Yes, but the only time it can be voted on is next June. And it has to be finished for the warrant. All this has to be done by 100 days before that meeting. So essentially, 1st of February.
That's right, that would be close.
And we haven't got a whole lot of time. We missed it last time. The only way legally that the ordinance can be amended is at that June meeting. And I'm very sorry that Sherry brought that up again tonight, because it was a totally illegal presentation. But not going there.
Her investigation?
No, to have the Historic Preservation Commission done away with.
Oh,
It states unequivocally. But anyway,
There was a lot of speculation.
so does anybody want copies of other ordinances to compare with ours to see, or do you think we?
Yeah, why don't you maybe,
Okay.
Freeport,
Sure.
that would be a good one, comes to mind.
Leslie, didn't you have Castine's?
I did.
I've got Castine's
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Castine's one of the.
Denver
ones
Scott have
that's
one?
Like us.
Yes.
No, Denver Scott is working on theirs.
That's why I like Castine, yeah.
Take a look at it.
Because we're up there with them corners, like.
This,
Mhm.
these boundaries are a little,
These boundaries,
they're rather obtuse.
actually they aren't. Because we have Village 1 and Village 2. And basically, that's it. To change them, there was a proposal to have them changed back to the original National Historic District, which is just a square, which leads to its own problems, one of which is it's hideously expensive to have to redraw all maps.
Why is it a problem? What don't you like about
The
the
Valley House isn't in there.
Is it not up there on Churchill Street?
It's up there, it's on the opposite side of Churchill Street. That's not in the historic district.
The Powder House is a National Historic Monument in and of its own.
That
We
doesn't cover
can-
the property around it though.
Hmm?
None of the property around it.
No, it isn't.
What's to keep somebody from just going in there and putting anything they want?
Nothing.
There you are.
All right, but you're one of the ones who says you don't want to limit people as to what they do.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that these boundaries have to be looked at.
Where do you want the boundaries to go?
Well, I'd have to really study this map, but, I counted 3 chain link fence in the historic district.
What is there we can do nothing about?
That one just went in on Railroad Avenue, it's brand new.
Railroad
The
Avenue,
state
that the state's doing
Has
that.
done its thing. Haggett Garage was destroyed.
No, I'm not talking about
No,
garage.
you,
Who put it
but they didn't
on Railroad?
come,
That's a chain link
Before-
fence.
Phil, that was put up by the state. The state has run roughshod over the town of Wiscasset by not even doing the courtesy of coming before the Historic Preservation Commission. It can be argued that this whole downtown thing is illegal.
Mhm.
No, we're not gonna solve it tonight. Do you have any other business?
I'm good.
Can we follow up on one thing from last week, which was what we're planning about violators, especially after tonight,
About what?
violators?
Oh, yeah, that's a good thing to bring up, because how do we handle going forward people that don't show up, or people that say, I'm not going to go for the condition, I'm just gonna do what I wanna do? I would assume code takes care of that, and so, I mean, it's unnerving to hear someone say that in a meeting.
I should say, sure, I'm not even gonna do anything, so.
Yeah.
And that
Really
scares the
should be.
crap out of me, really.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate thing to hear.
These are people that we need on our side to promote us and to say, of course, that's part of the disclosure, you are in the historic district, great, so we need that to be done. But there are gonna be instances where, before we can get our information to everybody in the historic district,
Right.
that there's going to be violations that have already happened. And we have to figure out, what do we do? Do we notify the code enforcer and have them handle
Yes, that's the only way we can. We are
Okay.
not enforcers.
it? Okay, so
And it is
we,
up to him to find people.
okay. So if we, or someone recognizes a violation, go
Mhm.
directly to the code enforcer. So that's
Right.
how, that's probably
And
something that we should write up here too.
What has happened to date is that when this has happened, nothing has been done. They've come in with their plan, and it has passed because it would have passed in the first place.
Or people don't like, they don't go before the board, they do what they want to do, and then they say the commission's out of control and they're unreasonable,
Right.
and I should be able to do this project. Because no one should be able to tell me what I can and can't do with my property.
Right.
So, all the more reason for us to get that postcard out as soon as possible.
Send me that again.
I will.
I'm
I'll do it
sorry,
tomorrow morning.
nothing
It's
is-
okay. And if you don't get it, if you call me tomorrow by midday, if you haven't received it.
I won't be home
Okay.
until after
You
2
don't
o'clock.
want it. Just got a morning thing.
I'm just gonna go in.
Remember.
Yeah, I've got a morning thing on Fridays.
So I think the more outreach we do, the more advocacy, the
Mhm.
postcards, the reaching out to realtors, we can't, we'll not win every heart and mind, but I don't know what else we can do.
Write a letter to the editor. Please make sure that you do this.
Yeah.
We're finding issues until,
Be good.
please,
Well,
check
I
our
think
maps.
Also, as I said before, I think the worst thing is, and I give no credence to it, because I think people who do not stand up and be counted have no right to say anything. That's just a personal feeling that I've had for 78 years now.
I don't know how old you
I agree, and also, if I can just say one thing about, just going forward as far as Sherry's presentation goes, she did a lot of verbal, this neighbor, that neighbor, this neighbor. As far as I'm concerned, that is completely hearsay, and that if that's going to happen, we need those people to either be here, or like, she did have one person who wrote a letter, great, if their address was on it, fantastic, but if somebody gets up and says, I spoke to 100 people, and they all loved this idea, or I spoke to 100 people, and they all hated this idea, it's all hearsay.
Yeah. She did have neighbors in.
She had neighbors in, yes, but sitting here, we don't know the
Other people.
neighbors.
Right.
But we just need, if somebody's going to present that, we need to, I want something in writing.
Yep.
Yeah, just going forward.
Or a warm body.
Or a warm body, hi, I live at this street,
Mhm.
yes. Yeah, yeah, and that's another thing is that we need people to just stand up at the podium, because I don't know who the hell those people were.
And I apologize for letting things get out of control.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Because they did, and I know better, and I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
It was surprising. Not that you didn't control it, it just got intense for a moment.
I move we adjourn.
I just have one more thing to tell you, Phil, if you didn't already know, that I think we found a grant that you might be able to apply for to help with the clock tower restoration.
And if anybody in town is listening, the clock has stopped ringing.
Oh.
Please get it on time and ring it again.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Because I need to hear that at night. I don't know what time
That
it is.
closes with lock them. Yeah.
Oh, second to adjourn.
Thank you.
Undebatable.